and welcome to Beyond the Paradigm. I'm Paul Breckel. Today, my guest is Dave Weiss, or better known as Flat Earth Dave. So, obviously, the episode today would be regarding Flat Earth, and I've entitled it Flat Earth Theory. If you enjoy this episode, could I first ask you to give it a like, as that helps the algorithms and makes it more visible for people when they're looking for videos to find. And also, if you enjoy similar content like this, you can subscribe to the channel. David Weiss, aka Flat Earth Dave, welcome to Beyond the Paradigm for the first time.
Hey, thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to this conversation. One of my favorite
Yeah,
things.
yeah, absolutely. Like I said to you, we were just talking a little bit there. I've listened to some of the stuff, some of your interviews you've done. But just for people who possibly may not know who you are and have not looked into Flat Earth previously, can you just tell us a little bit about your background and then what led you to actually do what you're doing now?
I always questioned things growing up. I questioned all religions. I just looked into things like, things aren't right with the world. And most of my life, I just was a normal person. And then I started a podcast a long time ago called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, looking into some of the deceptions. It all started with the Federal Reserve. What's the Federal Reserve? What's the IRS? What is money? That's where it all started from. And then, jumping way forward, 9/11 happened and other false flags and other hoaxes. And so we did this podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. And in the third year, people started sending me flat earth stuff. And I was like, that's too far. I'm sorry. Hey, you want to blow up a marathon? You want to have a fake shooting, a fake airplane crash? I'm happy to talk about that. But flat earth is one step too far.
Hmm.
And I kept banning people from our social media for even suggesting that I watch a 1 minute video. And then finally, somebody who I trust very much said, Dave, you have to look into flat earth, and sent me a couple of videos. And I said, okay, I'm going to look at these. And I'm just going to debunk flat earth and prove the globe and beyond with this. Just be done with this. Right. And I watched the videos and I'm like, huh. And it got me thinking and it got me thinking. And, uh, and, and then I realized, wow, after 2 weeks of looking for proofs, and by the way, I went in with a closed mind. I went in with disprove flat earth, prove the globe, and be done with this. That's not what a real curious person should do. It's to say, looking for the truth, show me the evidence. But I went in biased and I came out the other side. We live on a stationary level, topographical, non-rotating plane. There is no debate. It's just how much information can you hide from people? How much can you brainwash them? How much can you scare them? How much can you censor them? The censorship on flat Earth is ridiculous, and nobody leaves flat Earth. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. But the trick that they have is making you not see it. When you Google flat Earth, you get like a disc floating in space, right? You know, what is flat Earth? This is flat Earth. This is the balloon at 127,000 feet, right? But if you Google flat Earth, you get this. This is from the Flat Earth Society, right? And that Flat Earth Society is government controlled. I'm convinced because Obama mentioned it a half a dozen times in his speeches, and it's filled with nonsense. No flat earther believes this. But here's the thing: globe believers think this is flat Earth, and they also don't know their own model,
Hmm.
right? They don't know their own model at all. So that's where, I know all of the basic arguments. They're going to say, "Oh, what is Earth the only flat disk, and all the other planets are pancake? We're the only pancake, right?" You know what this is? This is called a false dichotomy, right?
Yeah.
You have a fake flat Earth model with a fake heliocentric model mixed together. So you have fake and fake. There's nothing true in here. None of this is true. And so that's where people are arguing from a point of complete and total ignorance. And by the way, when I say someone's ignorant, it's not an insult. Everyone is ignorant to anything they don't know.
Hmm.
I'm ignorant to everything I don't know. So are you. So is everybody else. I was ignorant to what I thought I knew. Um, but then, then when you finally understand what flat Earth is, and you see other ideas that could explain what it is, then you have to start thinking. And here's the thing: flat earthers admit, and I'll throw it back to you, that we don't know. We don't know a lot of things. There's a lot of stuff that is unknown. What is a star? You know that astronomers, professional and amateur, have never seen a star as anything other than a pinpoint of light in the sky. That's all you can say. It's a pinpoint of light in the sky. They want you to believe that there's gas balls in a space vacuum with planets going around them. That everything about that sentence was wrong. I mean, gas in a vacuum collapsing instead of expanding. I mean, when you take the time to break your programming to the stuff that they told you before you were able to think, that you have set as your foundation, and then you think about it logically with your God-given common sense, then you'll start to see. Then you'll start to see. One last note is my entire life I was not really religious. I checking out different religions, and I discounted all religions based on my first Bible study I went to. I went on a kid's Young Life trip to Bermuda, right? I was born into a Jewish family, non-practicing, knew nothing about religion, never went to temple really. And everyone's going on this trip to Bermuda with this Young Christians Association. My mom's like, just go. I was like, okay. And so we go there, and the first day they take us out on this cliff, and they're going to do a little Bible reading. And I'm like, oh boy, oh boy, right? Mm-hmm. And the verse that he read was, the stars fell to the earth. I'm like, Bible's complete nonsense. Stars are, if a house was a star, the earth is a grain of sand. How does that happen? And I discounted religion, all religions, based on that one thing for my entire life until eight years ago, maybe 10 years ago. So wow. There you go. There's a lot.
I mean, like you said, then you can't come to these things with bias, and I'm sort of in a little process of like deprogramming myself at the moment. I mean, I've been down many rabbit holes over the years. I think it was the UFO phenomena for me first of all. I've been a Christian since 2001. Now, when I've been listening to some of the podcasts you've done, and also I've heard other podcasts regarding flat Earth, one of the claims that some of these Christians make, and I'm not criticizing them as people, is that they say that the Bible teaches flat Earth. Well, it actually doesn't. It doesn't teach flat or globe Earth. It doesn't teach either. And they use certain verses, like one of them that they tend to use is Revelation chapter 7, verse 1, and where it talks about, John says, I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds. Now, in writing this, the Apostle John was using idiomatic language. That's what it was. It was an idiom, 4 corners of the earth, referring to like every distant location on earth. And we use idioms today. For example, we'll say, because it's the Olympics this year, we'll say like the Olympic athletes have come from the 4 corners of the earth. Now, no one believes that the earth's a square, because if we literally thought it was a square, it was flat and a square, then that would be literal. And the Bible itself is wrote for a specific purpose, and the purpose isn't to tell us what shape the earth is, but it does teach us that God obviously created all things, and like you mentioned about the stars falling and all that. So it does allow for flat earth. I'm not saying it debunks it or it debunks the globe. What I'm simply saying is that a lot of Christians, they use the Bible in a way that it's not meant to be used. Sometimes they quote from the Psalms when it talks about when the earth and all its people quake. This is Psalm 75, verse 3. It is I who hold its pillars firm. It doesn't literally mean the earth's on pillars. The Psalms are poems. It's poetical language. It basically means that God is like holding the earth in stability, because God is a spirit, yeah, and he's upholding all things. And it's the same regarding the firmament. And they try to say that the firmament means it's this dome and everything. Well, actually, in the original language, the word is a noun. It's a masculine noun, rakia, which simply means an extended surface or an expanse. Now, in a lot of the more modern translations, I mean, I read the King James Version and it says firmament, but in all the newer versions, it just says heaven or expanse. So that's simply what it's talking about. So I think it's important before we go on. I know, like the science part of things for you, And I just wanted Christians to understand that the Bible doesn't teach either. It's not saying that it's flat or it's a globe. It doesn't say either. And that's not the purpose of the Bible anyway. I mean, the point is that whether the earth's flat, whether it's a globe, God created it. That's the point. Now, that said, what convinced you? Was there a particular argument that you seen, or was it a combination of evidence that convinced you it was flat?
Well, there's a lot to unravel there, and I'm
Mm.
not the Bible expert for sure, and I actually will get you somebody else that is a Bible expert to come on your show, and you can get deeper into this conversation, which will be
Yeah, yeah.
interesting. But there's two things they want you either in a religion or in science. Both of
Mm.
those are religions. Okay, science is a religion, but if you are a Christian, then the Bible is everything. If you are not a Christian, the Bible's nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't go up to somebody that doesn't believe in God and say, but the Bible says, because then they're like, you're crazy. Just leave me alone, you crazy nut. But if you say science and actual science, not pseudoscience, not just using the word science or using the word physics, right? But actually doing science, that works for everybody. I can show you that I have a rock here and a rock here, and I put both rocks in one hand. I got two rocks in one hand. Religious science or not, everyone knows that's a fact. Okay.
Mm.
So for me, if somebody came to me at Flat Earth First and saying, oh, yeah, look, it's in the Bible, I would probably have never looked, right?
Mm.
I probably would have never looked. But now I say, well, this proves it. And that also is backed up in the Bible. But Christians will lead and say, the Bible says it, and science backs it up. Either way, they're married together. So during our podcast today, we're going to talk. Things go into three baskets. Only works on a flat Earth, only works on a globe Earth, or works on both. Works on both, right? And you're going to find that nothing goes into that middle basket. Nothing goes into that. And when you go into the Bible, I think that God wants us here where we have to have faith in God. Because if God showed up and said, I'm here, I'm watching over everything, there goes the whole game, right? The whole game is gone and it's ruined. And there's some verse in the Bible, I should memorize it, but that's just not my style, that says, once you see my creation, you can no longer deny my existence. Once you discover that we don't live on a spinning ball, that the earth is intelligently designed, you have no choice but to deny the creator. In a heliocentric model, you could say there was a big bang, out of nothing came everything, ridiculous, or God did it, either way. But on a flat earth, there's only a creator. That's the only choice you have. And if you look, I was watching a debate the other day, and the guy said, there's a lot of flat earthers that are atheists. No, there's zero. There's zero flat earthers that don't believe in a creator, because you can't understand that the earth is intelligently designed and say there's no creator, because that's the definition of intelligently designed, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things in the Bible that are fascinating. The earth takes shape like clay under a seal. That's interesting. The first page of the Bible, Genesis, says that God separated the waters from the waters and created the firmament. If you look into Werner von Braun, the head of NASA, Nazi scientist brought over, his gravestone also says Psalms 19:1 on it, and that means the heavens declare the glory of God, in the firmament, which you brought up, show it his handiwork. And in the 1959 or 58 Encyclopedia Americana, in the section on Antarctica, it talks about the firmament and the dome in Antarctica at 85 degrees south. So, there's so many things. The earth is stationary, it shall not be moved. There's like 200 verses in the Bible that suggest a flat earth. The only one in the Bible that suggests a globe earth from a glober's point of view is Isaiah, talking about the circle of the earth. But if you look up the definition of a circle is a line on a plane, the flat surface, where all the points on the line are equidistant from a center point. That's a circle. I can draw a circle on my floor. It doesn't make it a sphere. So
it can mean horizon as well. That actual verse that you're quoting there, it could be translated as horizon. So it doesn't teach a globe earth. That's what I was saying. It doesn't teach
the horizontal eye zone. Horizon. Okay, the horizontal eye zone. So you understand, well, globe or flat, we can only see a certain distance. Where are you? Are you in the
Mm.
United States?
No, I'm in the
Oh,
UK.
UK. So I went to Las Vegas, and at the Bellagio Hotel, it is so long. You go to one end of the hallway, the other end of the hallway, the ceiling literally touches the floor. I mean, it looks like it touches the floor. Of course, it does, and you zoom in and you can see, but it looks like the lights are touching the rug at the far end of the hallway. That's what is
Mm.
that? Not even a tenth of a mile, right? It's nothing, right? Oh, look, my emojis. I found out for some reason, like my camera does crazy stuff when I make simple. Can you see that?
Yeah.
That's crazy,
Yeah.
right? Um, that's something new. I don't even know how to turn it off. Um, so so that's called with that point where the sky meets the ground. That's your horizontal eye zone, the horizon. A lot of people say, well, that's not what horizon means. That's what it means to me. So we're going to look into that. I think the horizon is a good one to get into because the number one proofs that people have that the earth is a globe is boats over the horizon, can't see the bottoms of buildings, the bottoms of mountains. And what else? What else is there? The movement of the stars, going in different directions, seeing different stars. So we'll go anywhere where you want to go. Where do you want to go?
Well, let's well, first of all, what would you say to someone? What about GPS and satellite? So you get people going, well, we've got satellites and GPS. I mean, just so you know, I don't trust anything NASA says. I don't believe we've been to the moon, and I don't
Go.
believe there's an international space station. I mean, they're basically flying around on wires. So I'm with you on that because I know that's probably what you
Right.
believe as
And
well.
who's in charge of all the satellites? NASA. Do you know that
Hmm.
NASA controls all of the helium in the world? And NASA admits that there's tens of thousands of satellites hanging on balloons, right? And people
Unbelievable.
think that they're using their cell phones, that they're using satellites. No, they're not. We're connected on an undersea cable. And I don't even know when those were put in there. I think some of them were here hundreds of years ago. Okay. But they don't want us to know about our history. When you start looking into our history, that's a rabbit hole that's so deep that you just dive in head first and you won't ever you won't ever hit the bottom. So this is Starlink. Have you seen Starlink cross over your head yet?
No, I haven't.
So you know what Starlink is, right? The Elon
Yeah,
Musk's little
yeah,
satellites he's putting up there, right?
yeah.
So I've seen this with my own eyes, so it's real,
Mm.
right? But let's do some logical thinking here. Let's do some. So when you see these, they're real. They look really low, but they're satellites. They're really high. Okay. So let me ask you a question. This is a 747, and this is a 747 at altitude, right? Now it's picture so small you really can't even see it. But when you look up at an airplane at altitude, you can see the airplane, right? You can see the wings, you can see the tail, right?
Mm.
But can you see the engines?
No,
Right. Sometimes maybe you could like, oh, I
maybe
think
depend. Yeah.
because I know where they are, right?
Mm.
So the engines, see what I have here. So that's about 7 miles high. 7 miles high. That gigantic plane. Now, do you see this guy right here? There's a man standing right there.
Yeah.
Right? So you didn't even see him before, right? That's how big
No.
this airplane is. But at 7 miles high, it's tiny.
Hmm.
So a Starlink satellite is about the size of a school desk, a desk. Let's just say a regular, a desk at home. So you can probably fit 10 or 20 of them inside that engine.
Hmm.
See where I'm going here?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can't see that engine, but for some crazy reason, we could see these satellites. And guess how high Starlink satellites are? Are they 7 miles high? If that airplane was double the height, 14 miles high, could you even see it? You couldn't even see the airplane,
No.
right?
No.
Okay. These alleged satellites are 350 miles up on the size of a school desk. Now, does that tell us what they are? No, it does not. This is some big deception. I don't
Mm.
know if this is just a light show to convince people the earth is a globe, to convince people of all sorts of stuff, right? This is provably. Now, again, falsification is independent of replacement. I just proved that these are not school desks at 350 miles up, let alone 7 miles up, right? I just proved that. So I don't have to replace it. I think that they're drones. There's something being dragged by another airplane. They're on the bottom of a giant airship that we can't see. And several people have reported when they see it, if they're in a rural area and they see it, they hear a jet fighter way ahead of it and they hear a jet fighter way behind it. To me,
Mm.
I think those are like military planes saying, hey, some Bob in his Cessna, like, hey, what are those lights? I'm going to head over there and they'll stop them. They don't want anybody interfering with this deception. This is a deception. So, but
Mm.
Dave, I have Starlink service. I could be on my boat with Wi-Fi service. How does it work then if they're not real? Well, I have the answer to that. Okay. So these are supposedly, oh, hold on, this is not what I wanted to show you. I don't think. Hold on a second. All right. So these are cell towers. When you're driving down the road, you're relaying from tower to tower to tower, right? I talked to my phone from, for 100 miles. I was on the call for 100 miles. I must have gone, how many towers did I go to? I don't know, but I transferred from tower to tower without even noticing it, right? So let me ask you a
Mm.
question. If I was, I'm moving along and here's a tower and jump forward here. So you got tower, whoops. So you got all these towers and they form a mesh. Now, if I was stationary and all of those towers were moving, the service would still work the same, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So these towers, what do they need? They need a lot of electricity. They need to be serviced. Things break, things that need to be checked on, upgraded, right? So a tower, you can service it, you connect it to power, all good. You put a satellite in space, falling around the Earth, that's corkscrewing through space to an impossible space vacuum. We'll get into that. And
Mm.
and how is that even possible? It's so ridiculous. It's like I feel stupid even saying it. So the higher a cell tower, the bigger its circle is, right? So these cell towers, let's say they're all, I don't know, 500 feet, 300 feet, whatever. If I had one up that was at 3,000 feet, one at 3,000 feet could probably cover this entire area, right?
Mm.
What about at 10,000 feet? What about at 7 miles high? That could cover a pretty big area. What's at 7 miles high, has electricity, has able to be serviced, are everywhere in the sky, and 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 already have that equipment on them? And the answer is airplanes.
Yeah.
Airplanes. So you have
Mm.
your satellite phone or your service. It's either going to connect to the closest tower, or if there's no tower, it's going to connect to a plane that's going to relay it to another tower.
Mm.
That's it. If they're not doing that, they're being irresponsible because that is the cheapest, best, easiest way to do it, right? And
Mm.
and so people are like, well, I don't believe that there's satellites. There's the Google Loon program. They admit this, but they don't tell you about it. These satellites can weigh up to 8,000 pounds. They can stay up there for over a year, maybe even longer. They don't tell us. And so I don't even think that most of the services that we use even use anything in the air. It's all done tower based. It's all done on the ground. It's all done. Well, the tower, you can't communicate across the ocean because of the curve of the earth. No, they did that. They've done microwave transmissions across the oceans,
Mm.
and all of that is being hidden from us. So there's your satellite answer. And then these satellites are all over the earth. There's well, what I want. Satellites are crashing all over the earth, and one thing they all have in common: they all have balloons attached to them. They all
Mm.
have giant balloons everywhere. These satellites are coming down. They all have balloons.
Yeah, I've thought about that when you were mentioning there about them being obviously they're in orbit and you talk about like who's going to service them. And it's just, excuse me. Hmm.
So let's talk about them being in orbit. We just say, we're just convinced that an orbit is a real thing, right? So this is what they teach us in school. This first model, right? The sun's here,
Yeah.
stationary, and we're going around, but that's not really what it is. The sun's moving at a 500,000 miles per hour. We're orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour. We're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, right? So So we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. So you got a satellite. How far out are they? 2,200 miles, 2,000 miles out, whatever they're. How's that satellite going to stay over the same piece of land as the Earth is spinning, as it's orbiting 66,000 miles an hour, chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour, right? All of these motions are going on, and you don't feel them or sense them. Let me just put that into context. This is the hypersonic sled track. I think it's run by NASA. Did you see that? If you look it up on YouTube with sound, it's shocking. It just goes by. The shock wave is incredible. It's going by at Mach 6.8, right? 6.8 times the speed of sound. Can't even see it, okay? Watching it, you can hardly fathom that speed. But could you fathom twice that speed? No.
Not a chance.
You have to believe that we live on a lumpy rock surrounded by curved water. 71% of it's covered by water. Surrounded by air, adjacent to a void. All of these things are impossible. Traveling around the sun 10 times faster than this and chasing the sun 100 times faster than that. All of them in curved trajectories. So you can't say, well, on an airplane, I could drink a glass of water and I can go to the bathroom. You want to compare the airplane to the slowest speed, which is the spin of the Earth. You have to double the speed of the airplane. You have to remove the outer shell of the airplane, and you have to nosedive at a mile per minute to follow the curve. Let me know how your drink's going, and don't even bother going to the bathroom because you already went.
Yeah. I remember when we have Sky Television over here, and it used to be a satellite dish. It's now not. It's streaming TV now called Sky Glass. But I remember when the engineer used to come out, and they used to say that there was like lining up the satellite dish with the satellite. And I used to, and when you mentioned there, and I thought, how are they lining it up if we're spinning around? Like, how are they lining this little dish on the side of your house?
I have something to tell you about that. But first, this is NASA. This is what the Rockefeller textbooks teach us. This is what they want us to believe, this insanity in that corkscrewing spiral universe. But what doesn't lie? Men lie, NASA lies, everyone lies, nature doesn't lie. Right? This is what they want you to believe, but this is what we observe. This is what we observe. Right? Which one, what does this tell you? Let your God-given common sense tell you. This is moving, twirling, and whirling at speed you can't comprehend, or is it perfectly stationary, just like the Bible says?
Absolutely stationary.
Right. Look at this. No convexity to that water, right? Water convexes. Well, the Earth is so big, David, you can't see the curvature, but boats go over the horizon. You know that on a globe, 24,901 miles around, all of you globe believers didn't even know that. That's the circumference of your world. That at just 3 miles, there's 6 feet of curvature. So if you were standing at the edge of perfectly calm water, perfectly calm, at 3 miles out, you couldn't see the surface of the water anymore because it's dropping below a physical curve. But we all, with our naked eyes, let alone our optics of today, our telephoto optics, have seen way farther than that. And if there's any waves on here at all, forget it. It'll make your horizon closer. And if you sat down, the horizon's only 1.5 miles away, not even. Okay. But I could sit down and look across 7 or 8 miles of water and see people sitting on a beach.
Yeah.
So they want you to believe that the Earth is so big you can't see curvature, but they want you to believe that boats go over the horizon. And then when you look at the actual math of where the physical horizon would be, that a globe Earth requires a physical curve. This is a physical curve. You cannot see my mouth because it's behind a physical curve. If you zoomed in, you still couldn't see my mouth because there's a physical curve. But the thing is, we can zoom in on things and see them way beyond where we should be able to see them. For example, let me show you. So this is, here we go. So just so you understand, the horizontal eye zone is where the sky and the ground meet. Now, are my hands really touching if this was perspective? No, they're still this far apart, but in the distance, everything compresses into your horizontal eye zone. So out here, you don't see any boat, but we're zooming in. So as we zoom in, we're increasing the angular size. And as we increase the angular size, we're like, oh, look, there is a boat right there. Now, am I zooming over a curve? No. Now, look, you see the bottom of the boat? Now, my finger can't hide the bottom of that boat. But if my finger was a wave in the foreground, it could hide the entire boat. And you would think that's at eye level, but I'm hiding, the boat's gone. So there's your boat over the horizon, zooming it in. But Dave, you can't zoom the sun back in. Totally different thing. We'll get into that in a little bit, right? So that's that. Let me show you something else too while we're on this topic.
I mean, I do this myself because I live like my front room's facing. I mean, I live about just over a mile and a half from a beach, but I can see it from my living room. I can see all the water, and they have wind farms out at sea, which are, I mean, I'm about a mile and a half from the beach, and these wind farms are probably 3 to 4 miles out, and I can see them. And if I get my binoculars out, do you know what I mean? I can.
Yeah. You
They've
can, but
not
it looks like the
disappeared over
bottom.
it.
It looks like the bottoms are underneath the
Yeah.
the ocean. There's a perfect explanation for that. So let me show you something. So this is looking out the water. So you can't see the beach is just right before here. I'm sitting at the edge of the beach, and all of this glossy part of the water, we'll just say, you know, out to here, right? Out to there. This, how long would you say this span is? From here right to just before the horizon where the water gets dark. I'll tell you what it is. It's about 50 yards. Let's call it 100 yards, right? 100 yards, 100 meters, maybe 200 meters. Okay. Call it a quarter mile. I don't care. Okay. And then there could be a boat out here that's 5 miles away. So the first quarter of a mile, you know, you do kilometers over there, right? The first kilometer.
No, we do. I do miles.
All right,
we
great.
do miles.
First quarter of a mile.
Europeans, they do kilometers.
Takes up 95% of my field. So look, from here to here, let's say that's 100 yards, right? From there to there, that's another 100 yards. From there to there, it's another 100 yards. You can't even see. That's another 100 yards. It's another 100 yards. It's another 100 yards. And they're all getting compressed into that horizontal eye zone, just like the Bible says. Okay. So looking at an orthographic view, right? So if I'm over here where I'm standing and I'm looking at this boat, right? Here's a half a mile, whatever it is. Let's call this 1 mile, right? The boat, from my point of view, is going to get smaller. And then from the side point of view, nobody sees orthographically like we're looking at it. That's another mile, right? And that's another mile, and that's another mile, and that's another mile, and that's another mile. And between this yellow line and the edge of the paper, you could probably fit 15 more miles in there because it's all compressed. So that boat is going to disappear. And if there is a 3-foot wave right here, that boat's going to just shrink and not appear to get any farther, because every time you move it a mile farther, it's not any farther in your visual range because your visual range has already compressed it into that little tiny line. So this little tiny segment from this yellow line to the edge of the paper, the edge of the screen here, that is the same as 10 of these, but it's all right there. So, so the water does that. You have all of these segments. Each one of them is the same, but it's all compressed in there. And the sky does the same thing. So this segment is the same as that, is the same as that, is the same as that, is the same as that. And it all compresses. Now, if I zoomed in, all of those would open up. They would all open up. Okay. So here I got a 6-foot guy and a 3-foot block, right? And he's standing right next to it. You can look over, you can see, what? There are the balloons again. I don't know how to turn that off. Right? Ready? I'm going to make a symbol. Everyone's going to go, use a shill. I go like this, and I think it does lasers. I don't know. Somebody tell me how to turn that off. I don't even know what's doing it. Zoom or OBS. I don't know. All right. So look at the distance. So if this is 3 feet tall, that's about 3 feet across the bottom, right? 3 feet. You can see so the water for the 3 feet beyond this block is blocked from his vision, but anything beyond 3 feet, is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is visible. So he can see all of the water out here, right? This is very discerning, very discerning. All right, so now I slide that block out, and you see how much bigger this area got? It gets much bigger. And so I can't see the water until all the way out here. Why do I look like I have double hands? Hold on a second. I don't know how to. All right, I'm doubled for some reason, but I have to figure that out. What is going on here? Oh, well, there's one. Okay, we'll just go with that. See if that works. Um, so that gets, what the hell is going on? All right, so now I'm behind it. Hold on. Sorry about that. I'm just gonna have to deal with it. All right, so I can see that. So I move it out a little farther, and you see what's happening here. This line is becoming, so I made it much smaller. So I keep moving that block out. Now that block is still only 3 feet. I move it out farther. Right? So the amount of space before that line is going to touch the water is massive. But in my visual space, it's not going any farther because it's all already compressed into that line. So this 3-foot wave can block a cruise ship. You get it?
Yeah. Yep.
So there you go. I got to see what's going on here.
What about Polaris? Because that's important, isn't it, for flat Earth, I believe.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Yeah. So all of the stars in the sky appear to circle around Polaris. And they tell us that's because we're spinning, and Polaris just happens to line up with our axis of rotation, right? You with me?
Yep.
So, have you ever heard of the Georgia Guidestones here in America?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so the Georgia Guidestones, besides the whole story of what they were meant for, there was a hole in the very center stone, a very thin hole, and you look through it any day of the year, Polaris is right there. So you got to remember, we're corkscrewing through space, whirling and twirling, traveling 4.5 billion miles a year, never to return to where we were before, on curved trajectories. All of the stars in the skies are moving in their own trajectories, but we don't see any parallax. We've never seen two stars change positions because a closer one, closer things move faster. We've never seen that happen. Never once with all of this going on. And so the heliocentric explanation is, well, they're so far away that all of that motion is meaningless. So far away that 4.5 billion miles a year for hundreds of thousands and millions of years doesn't change anything. Oh, well, we used to have a different North Star. 2,000 years ago, we had Thuban, right? And the pyramids that have the shaft in Giza, they used to point towards Thuban, and now they point towards Polaris. And you just don't notice that we're moving because we're moving so slow, and it has to do with the wobble of the Earth. The wobble of the Earth will change where it's pointing. So, okay. So the great year is 26,000 years. 1 degree per year is 1 degree is 76 years, right? So the sun, so the pole is shifting 1 degree every 76 years. So let's wait 76 years and see if it shifts. By then, we're kind of going to get distracted, I bet, and be thinking about something else. However, the Georgia Guidestones, they were lined up with Polaris, and they were up for over 40 years, and Polaris never moved. Now, 1 degree in the sky is 3 moon winds. If you lined up 3 full moons, that's 1 degree. So in 40 years, that's more than a half a degree. Polaris would have been far out of that hole, but it was still there. And we started making videos about it, and they started going viral. And then did you hear what happened? No. Out of nowhere, a terrorist blew up the Georgia Guidestones. 3 hours later, bulldozers were there, took all the evidence away, and no investigation was ever done. Isn't that suspect?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So
I mean,
there's something.
I seen that on TikTok that
Yeah.
that's where I first sort of seen some flat Earth stuff because I'm not before I sort of looked into it, I wasn't going to sit there and watch a 2 hour video, but I watched like, you know, videos that were like a couple of minutes. And that was one of them that I seen regarding Polaris, how it was lined up with the Georgia Guidestones. And like you said, it's not moved.
They can claim anything they want about their, the shaft and the pyramid used to point towards a different star. How are you going to prove them wrong? Weren't there. Georgia Guidestones prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt, but now they're gone.
Mm.
And now people are just going to be, it's going to be memory hold, right?
Yeah.
You have to wonder. Now, are you, you're in England, you said?
Well, no, I'm from England. I actually now live in Wales, so I'm about
You
not far from English border though. About
is that
13.
anywhere
I
near
live on the
Stonehenge?
coast.
You ever go to Stonehenge?
I'm actually going this year. I'm going next month because on my way to Southampton this year, I am going
Yeah.
past Salisbury, so I'm going there.
So the story of Stonehenge is complete and total nonsense. It was built in the 1950s. I'm going to jump forward here.
Yeah, I've seen
This
this.
is video of the construction of the Georgia Guidestones in the 1950s. Not the
Yeah,
Georgia, I mean the Stonehenge. Sorry.
Stonehenge.
Yeah, yeah. Just jump forward. This is them building it. Now, there was some old pyramid there, but they took all, not pyramid, sculpture there or monument. They took the stones off site, planned this whole thing. I don't even know if they're the same stones, and the whole thing was built in the 1950s. So, what does that mean? It means they're lying to you. It means they're lying to you, and you can never, ever trust them.
Mm,
Okay?
definitely.
Yeah.
That's one of the thrusts of this podcast is that, you know, basically everything we've been told is a lie. And what I always say on here is, as a Christian, what you've got to understand is, and anyone needs to understand this, Jesus himself told us that the devil is the God of this world with a small g temporarily. But he says that he's the God of this world and he's the father of lies. And when he speaks a lie, he speaks his natural language because there's no truth in him. So isn't surprising that everything in this world that he's running temporarily at this moment in time is a lie. So people shouldn't be shocked if things like this are a lie and everything, the
Yeah.
history's all been falsified.
Yeah, 100%. So for those of you that haven't tuned out yet and have an open mind and are curious what's going on, God bless you. Thank you for being here. I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. That just helps motivate a lot of people because of, everything runs on money. I'm offering 3 Bitcoins for 1 proof of the globe. If you think I'm crazy, if you think he's nuts for having me on and are ready to unsubscribe, why don't you collect the 3 Bitcoins? It's very easy. 1 globe proof. The problem is, if you Google my name, Flat Earth, if you Google my name, you're going to end up at Professor Dave's video. And luckily, you have a sharp enough mind that say, wow, this guy, first, he's not a professor. He's a failed musician that calls himself a professor. But something's wrong with that. And it struck your curiosity. I talk about that a lot where Google pushes that video when you search Flat Earth, even without my name, it comes up as like one of the top hits because they think that destroyed Flat Earth. It actually is waking up more people than most videos because people are
Mm.
watching, go like, why did he act that way? Now you're talking to me. Now I'm going to show you some places to look. Right, my website, flatearthdave.com. There's tons of free stuff on there. I have an app. The app is amazing, right?
Yeah, I've got the
And
app.
every day, yeah, you have the app. Awesome.
I've got it.
Awesome. Every day there's a new featured video. Just so every morning while you're having your cup of tea, hit
Mm.
that video and watch the video and watch the videos that come after it. There you go. Nice work. Do you have a referral code? Let people use your referral code, get some points because you're going to earn crypto for that very, very soon.
Yeah, I'll do that. I've just got
So,
it yesterday, actually, started
all
looking
right.
at it, so
Let me show
it's
you.
well
Let me show you
made.
real quick. So if you hit the handshake button, right? You don't have to do it right now, but
Mm.
check it out. Hit the handshake button. That opens up the friend finder, and that'll show you all of the people around you. Let me show you. Let's look at here. This is the UK right here. These are the people
Hmm.
that have my app, right? Pretty crazy. But
Hmm.
if you go over here to this button, your button will look a little different. That's the referral area. And you're going to have a random number right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Click the little pencil next to it. Oh, no, it's not. Well, actually, that yours is going to be over here. This is just a new layout.
Mm-hmm.
You click the little pencil and put in something that's easy for people to remember. Just whatever you can put in. Anything up to 7 characters. And then when anyone downloads the app, which is $3 one-time charge, there is a subscription, but that's $11 a year. You don't have to get it, but you're going to want it. It's for a few extra features. You get a point every time someone downloads it, and then you earn points, which puts you on the leaderboard, does other things, but you're also going to earn cryptocurrency for it. And we think that this crypto is better than Dogecoin, and it's called Dome. Dome, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to learn about that very, very, very soon. This version you're seeing here is actually coming out hopefully this week. So do that, and then maybe when you do your recording at the beginning, tell people use your referral code. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Earn some points because you're going to earn Dome. And I have a feeling that, I'm not telling anyone to buy anything. I'm just saying earn some crypto. It might do something for you. So, where I was going with that, just every day watch the featured video. If you said, hey, send me a video on the fake moon landing or how the sun sets, I send you that video. The next video that's going to pop up is going to be a Google debunking video, a nonsense video that they want you to watch. But on the app, we break the algorithm. We feed you all the videos that come after it. So, and again, don't believe anything. Verify everything. Just like the Bible says. Believe, people lie. Verify it. We're just making it easier for you to find stuff. So there you go.
I've had a couple of guests on here previously who are flat earthers. We weren't talking about that. One briefly mentioned it. And when you were talking then about saying that if people think I'm crazy for having you on, like, don't unsubscribe, I was literally told off this one guy who I interviewed last year. He said, if you do an episode on flat earth, he said, you will lose subscribers. He said he knew a guy who literally had to start a separate podcast so he didn't lose subscribers. But
yeah,
basically, and I've said it every week to my audience, this podcast is about finding the truth. It's about finding the truth, not and to say to people, listen, this stuff's being presented to you, you verify it.
everything.
You think it's nonsense, fine. If it intrigues you, look into it further. If you're already a believer, great. But just verify it yourself. Use critical thinking skills and do your own research. I encourage people to do that all the time. It's like there was a group of people in the Bible, they called them the Bereans, and it said that they searched the scriptures daily to see if these things are so. So things that they were told, they went back to the scriptures and looked at them to see if they're so. Same when I go to church. If I hear some stuff from the pulpit and I've not heard it before, I'll have a look into it and see if I can verify that what's being said is correct.
Here's the thing. You're going to learn, you're going to hear a lot of people say a lot of things. You're going to see people in your comments going, oh, Dave's a grifter. He's just here to sell apps and this, that. Just say, where's your best glow proof? Or go look at their channel. It's empty. There's no content on it. Zero, right? So that's all you're going to get. They'll never offer you proof because if they did, they'd win 3 Bitcoins, but they can't because the earth isn't flat. People are like, what about sun under clouds? Or what about this? I'm showing the app right here. You just click the images icon, which is right. Whoa, why isn't that showing? Damn it. I have to go this way. So you click the images icon, which is the color wheel right here. And then you could type in, I just loaded this, so it's going to load for a second. Sun under, there we go. And here are all pictures debunking the sun under the clouds, showing, look, the sun's under the clouds, but the light is on top of the clouds. And so anything you want is, you can find the images, the memes, the information. Like there was a long distance photography. So we say we can see too far. I'll say see too far, right? And there it is. And up come these images. And here's one. These mountains in the distance here. Let me zoom in. These mountains that we can clearly see, they're all in the high-res photo, are over 700 miles away, close to 700 miles away. There's 50 miles of missing curvature. Remember the ball in front of my face? You know what Globers say about this? Nothing. They won't even address it because they have to. The only thing they can say is, well, they're refracting up and they're stopping at eye level just to trick you to think the Earth is flat. And all the distances in between you are refracting up different levels, and they all line up perfectly on a flat plane. 50 miles of missing curvature. 50 miles of missing curvature. And they're right there. And you can zoom in and you can see them. You can go verify that those are them and where it is. And so people say, Globers will say, I haven't seen, guys that have been at this for a long time, I haven't seen a single flat Earth proof. Hello? Where have you been looking? Where have you been looking? Right there. Right? There's zero globe proofs. Every test in history for axial rotation or curvature has shown the opposite. Right? Scientists say, well, you can't prove that the stars and the lights in the sky are moving around us, or we're moving, the sun is moving, or we're moving around the sun. You can't tell, but they teach you in school that it's a fact that we're going around the sun. When your common sense tells us the sun's going around us, easy, over the Earth, over. The sky's a perfect clock, right? Wherever the sun is, it's noon. Right? The sun's on its way to that inner yellow line, which is the Tropic of Cancer. Therefore, we're having our summer because we're in the inner north. The sun is closer to us. When the sun moves out to the Tropic of Capricorn, we move it out. Where's my out? There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when the sun moves out to the Tropic of Capricorn, it's summer in Australia. It's summer in South Africa. And it's cold for us. Why? Sun's farther away. It looks lower in the sky. Its heat is farther away. We're cold.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's a lot to think about, and it's good stuff, Dave. What I will say is, for people who are sort of thinking, well, what is this? Dave has researched this, and that's what I always say. I always get guests on who do research. You said probably what, 8 years doing this?
10 years.
10 years.
2014.
One thing that I did definitely want to talk to you about before we wrap this up is Antarctica. And the Admiral Byrd he went there, didn't he? What do you think regarding his account? Because obviously, I've heard an account of that he was basically guided into some sort of base there and spoke to, like, who knows who it were, but like almost like alien type beings, which I don't believe in aliens from other planets. But what do you think regarding that story?
I know what you're talking about. I wasn't there, so I can't verify it. But we have whistleblowers from the military that were stationed in Antarctica that said that there's cities of thousands of millions of people in Antarctica. What? Right? So, what people don't understand is flat Earth is not, we're not in a prison. I believe that there's more land beyond the shoreline of Antarctica. Antarctica is the shoreline. What's out here? What's out there, right? What's out beyond the shoreline? Large bodies of water need containment, okay? Large bodies of water need to be contained. Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. Antarctica, if you look at the average heights of all of the continents, Antarctica, right? A pond, the shoreline is higher than the pond. It holds the waters in. The shoreline of our world pond is Antarctica, right? So let's say there was a lake 100 miles around in the center of the UK, and the rest of UK is Antarctica. And we live in that pond, but we're not allowed to go to the shoreline of that pond. It's off limits. There's no independent exploration south, right? Well, people, oh, you think it's an ice wall? No, it's the shoreline. It's high continent. Here's the edge. This is what they want you to think the edge is, right?
Yeah.
So as I said, it's the edge of a lake. Here's Antarctica. This is like 300 feet high. This is the edge of a lake, right? People say, well, there's no video, they're going to fall off the earth. Well, this is what they want you to believe. This is reality, right? This is Antarctica. This is the shoreline. Now, there's probably areas that aren't that don't have a wall, that are more like this, but they're still raising up. There might be a little bit of a tide. Who knows, right? But I haven't seen that. And then there's also video. People are like, well, pictures could be manipulated. Here's video. This is Antarctica. This is Antarctica, right? How come we don't get to see more of this?
Yeah, I've seen that video. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, people say, well, what about satellite images? There's not a single photo of Antarctica from altitude. These are all cartoons. I'm not saying they're cartoons. Look at them. They're cartoons. Right? So,
well, that's the thing regarding the Earth, isn't it? I mean, I've said to people, one of the things I say to them is, you've never seen the Earth. You haven't ever seen it. What you've seen is 12 strips of data that's been put together in Photoshop.
Right. This is Admiral Byrd's ticker tape parade. He went down there, Project High Jump, high land, high jump. He said he went out, he found land beyond the South Pole, bigger than the United States, that no human has ever set eyes upon, filled with resources. Now, in a time where the world is fighting over resources, all wars are fought over resources and power and money, right? He found land filled with coal and uranium and gold and everything, and no human has ever seen upon it, set eyes upon it. They throw him a huge ticker tape parade, and then he dies 6 months later in bed, has a heart attack. Okay, weird, died suddenly. Okay, that's the thing, right? He was on the trend before it happened, right? And when you start looking at the stories, at what goes there, he was on the news when I talked about it. What's this? This is a flat Earth map behind him, and it's a clock. The sky is a perfect clock. You know how they fooled us? The sky goes around. You got 24 time zones, and the sky goes around wherever the sun is. It's noon. I was just showing you on the app. They said, well, let's give the peasants clocks, but we'll make the hour hand go around twice, so they never figure out where they are. The hour hand should only go around once a day. The hour hand is the sun. Wherever the
UN
sun
map's a flat Earth map as well, isn't it? The UN.
The UN map is
their symbol.
Right. All of the major organizations that run the world, they all use that. They all use that same logo. These are some fishermen that went beyond 60 degrees south, and I'll just jump forward here. Quickly, a destroyer comes up upon them, radios them, and says, "Turn around, get out of here. You're not allowed here." Now they're 1,000 miles from Antarctica. Nope, no one's allowed to go escorted beyond that area. And there's 7 or 8 military bases all around the outer world that are in charge of making sure nobody goes out there. Globers will say, "Oh, that's on your flat Earth. It's so big. How are they going to stop you from going there?" They got 8 military bases. They got radar. They got buoys, right? They got GPS buoys out there. That anybody, it detects waves, and the entire thing is you can't get through it. You can't get through it. And people that are doing, contractors that are bringing stuff down there, doing work down there, they say when they cross that 60 degrees south, they're boarded by a military, and the military takes over their helm. They're not even allowed to drive their own ships in there, right? And you're only allowed to go where you're only allowed to go. So
see, that rings alarm bells for me. That in itself, the fact that they won't let you go, tells you straight away that they're hiding something. I mean, why otherwise you could, like you said, explore unaccompanied, but you're not allowed.
Right. So this is Google Earth, the web version, and you can draw a line around any area and get the square miles. It tells you how big it is and everything. And interesting. Wow, that's very, very handy. Let's draw one around Antarctica. And when we draw it around Antarctica, watch what happens. Okay. It does this weird this weird, it flipped. It's because they pulled the whole thing around, right?
Mm.
It won't measure it, right? But if we go to, let's go where we go now. We'll go to the North Pole. So I'll draw an area around the North Pole, and it does the same thing. Weird, right? People say, well, you have to be over land or, whatever. Too far north. We'll try it over Greenland, like Greenland. And it measures it perfectly. You can do it anywhere you want except the North Pole and the South Pole. The two places that you can't go virtually or physically. It's kind of weird, right?
Mm.
Kind of weird. Let me show you this. We got a couple minutes. I'll just go a little long.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is an encyclopedia that was found. I think it's 1954 and 55. And in here, it says they did a trip and it took 22 days. 22 days. So when you go visit Antarctica, you literally go out here to a little island called, ready? Rothschild Island or Deception Island. That's where you get to go visit, right?
Yeah.
You're not even anywhere near, right? So this is 2,000 miles. So here are the bases that they have in Antarctica. They're just near the shoreline of Antarctica, right? So the airplane went from one stop, two stops, three stops, four stops. 22 days. That makes more sense. Antarctica is only like 10, 12,000 miles around if it's a continent. This is more like 60, 70,000 miles, right? So, whoops. Was that the end of it? So, okay. So, and it said the expedition made extensive flights covering all of the Antarctic coasts.
Mm.
Why the coasts? Why don't they ever cross the South Pole, the center? Right? This is what they did. They took our map and they wrapped it around a sphere. And they say that we took the sphere and flattened it out to make a map when this is what they did. And you're not allowed to go explore here. You can go to the edge, which is really the edge of our pond, but there's no photos of this from outer space.
Mm. Yeah.
Right?
Antarctica is one of them. It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
So fascinating. It's
So
a
so
massive rabbit hole.
yeah, so this is a trip that they were going to go across the South Pole. So they went from, Deception Island over to here. Then they went over to the base they called Little America over here. Then they went to the South Pole, which they tell us is right there. And then they went back,
Mm.
right? So let me just, okay. So where's my thing? Is it? Yes. All right. So let's take a look at what that really looks like. Um, so here they went from there to there to there to the South Pole and back. But if we look at that, is that going across Antarctica? If I look at it on this map, right, way zoomed out. Now that again, this is, we're guessing. They just did this. They went from here to here to here and back. The trick is to go from here south and show up over here in Australia. That would be a ball. That would be
Yep.
crossing that would be crossing. So they just, and now look, this is South America. South America is huge. It's way bigger than the United States.
Mm.
Look at this. This is huge. How do you know? You don't know where you are down here. If you're a mile inland, you can't see the water. You can't see anything. You're in a white, barren land, if it is all frozen like that, which I think a lot of it is. And so they went from here to here. This is a massive adventure, but you didn't cross the bottom of the world. You just went here.
Mm.
That's all you did. Right?
Yeah.
This is another, I mean, this woman that she went from here to here to here. And they're like, oh, she went across Antarctica. No, she didn't. She didn't. She went here. She went there to
Mm.
there to there. Now, this is big. This is, I don't know, this is half of South America or whatever. That's big. That's huge. It take you a long time to do that.
So you think then basically the Earth's massive, much bigger than what we realize or what we've been told, because like you're saying there, we're just basically in a pond and there's much more land. That's what you believe.
Again, we don't need to speculate what's beyond the shoreline of Antarctica to absolutely prove that the Earth is a level topographical,
Mm.
non-rotating plane. We don't need to do that, but I love doing that. All right. There's a lot of evidence, right? All of these domes, I call them domes because that's what they call them. Dome A, Dome B, C, D, E, F, right? Those are really on the outside. So you get to the shoreline and you go south, which is away from the center of the Earth, and there's mountains. Those mountains might connect to the dome. Those might be what holds up the dome. Those might be part of the dome. Off limits. It's all off limits to us. Did you
Mm.
ever see my thing on Kiribati?
No.
Kiribati? All right. I'm going to show you that, and then we'll wrap it up because I can go forever, by the way. Just forever. All right. So this is the last one. And the reason I want to bring this up is because you talked about extraterrestrials. You don't believe they come from other planets, and I'm with you. I believe in extraterrestrials. And by the way, a UFO is an unidentified flying craft. So if I flew
Yeah.
my drone over your house and you didn't know what it was, it's technically a UFO.
Hmm.
So, but the question is, are they alien UFOs? What are they? Right? Extra terra, extra land, more land, extra, more extra territory, extraterrestrials come from the extra terra beyond Antarctica, from the outer space beyond the shoreline of Antarctica, extraterrestrials from outer space here on
Mm.
Earth. Okay. So here's a ship tracking website. I'm going to go through this fast. And we found a ship 730 miles inside of the shoreline of Antarctica. That's 1.9 miles higher than sea level. How does a ship get there? We found another one that was 905 miles in. That's over 2 miles higher than sea level, and it's inland, right? It's in 905 miles inland. How did it get there? So when you click on these ships, they'll tell you all about the ship, where it's going, who the captain is, where it's registered, size of the ship, what they're carrying. It says lots of stuff. We clicked on the ship and all it said is that it was 850 meters long, which is gigantic, and 80 meters wide, and it's registered to the nation of Kiribati. And it's Kiribati, but I'm going to call it Kiribati because that's how it's spelled, and all the people in Fiji can be mad at me. It's fine. Okay. So, I wasn't showing you. I didn't show you. Did you not see what I was showing you? You didn't. Let me show you. So here is okay. Here's the ship 905 miles inland. Right? Sorry about that. It's 905 miles inland. And like how is that possible? So we looked and we said, okay, where is it from? It's from Kiribati. Kiribati, right?
Mm.
Right? And so where is that? And you go on Google Earth and it shows you it's a little tiny atoll. I put a pin on it because you can't even see it until you get really close to it in the middle of the ocean. And America, China, Vietnam, all these countries are saying it's a very, very important trade route. Very, very important trade route. Why do we need to stop at a sandbar? Okay. What's going on here?
Mm.
Right? Kiribati, Karibiti. Remember that. That's important. Kiribati, right? This is an old video, an old screen capture because they changed it already. Because just like I told you, they changed things before. So what are they doing there? And on Kiribati, there's a bed and breakfast, Captain Cook bed and breakfast. Well,
Mm.
that's Captain Cook's the guy that tried to circumnavigate Antarctica, and it took him 3.5 years. He went over 60, 70,000 miles. Sounds like a flat earth, but weird. Maybe just somebody loves Captain Cook there. And if you look at all of the ships that are docking at the massive pier on the sandbar, they all say their destination is Christmas Island or unknown. And if you looked into Christmas and Santa and Satan and all of that stuff and child trafficking, really throws up some red flags. Really throws up some red flags. Okay. So what's going on here? Um, they said there was a lot of nuke testing there, and if you looked into the nuke hoax, that's another strike. And then if you look at time zones, right? Time zones are where you draw a straight line on the globe from the North Pole to the South Pole, and you draw 24 of them, right? And like sections in an orange, and those are your time zones. And as the Earth spins, wherever the sun is, it's noon. Makes sense, right? Right. So there should be 24 straight lines, but there's this weird line right here. Weird line. Weird line. What is going on there? So let's take a zoom at that. And this line crosses over 3.5 date lines. Okay. And Kiribati is right there. I would call that the most suspicious spot of all. I don't know what it means, but that's another strike for what's going on here. Right. And then if you Google Kiribati now, right, it brings you to this island. What's going on there? Like that just changed. And Kiribati is all the way over here, and they changed the name. It's now Karamati. What happened? I don't know if you can see that there. It's now Kertamati. And they changed it again. That tells us something suspicious. Suspicious. Another thing is the globe time zones make perfect sense. Did you know that there's 19 time zones in the north, 24 between the tropics, and 32 in the south?
No.
They don't teach you that in school. They say it's for political reasons. No, it's because when you wrap them around a globe, you lose time zones in the south, right? So it's all to keep you confused, right? It's all to keep you confused. Now, people say when you live on a ball, any place that's beyond the limits of the ball is assumed to be another dimension or folding of space-time. They came through space-time, coolest thing ever, or whatever, right? When in reality, it could be much, much simpler. So here's a map that was found, published in a Hawaiian newspaper in 1910, shows all of these continents out here. Okay. Now let's look here. Here's South America. Let's say they took you on a boat to Antarctica and you went right here, right to the middle of this landmass. Now look at the little middle, this landmass. This landmass is bigger than Canada, UK, and Mexico combined. It's gigantic. So if they pulled you up there and said you're at Antarctica, what are you going to say? No, I'm not. How are you going to, like, this is massive. You're not going to know where the hell you are.
No.
What if Kiribati, this is a trade route. Out here are other civilizations, advanced civilizations, right? Advanced civilizations here on Earth. Now, the closest star is 25 trillion miles away. That's what they tell us, right? 25 trillion miles. You and I get into a ship going a mile per second for 1 trillion seconds. We've gone 1 trillion miles, a mile per second. No one's ever gone that fast. 1 trillion seconds. You know how long that is?
I've got a clue.
Take a guess. I'll give you a Bitcoin if you guess it within a day.
It's a bit longer than that.
Well, guess. If you guess within 1 day, okay, within a week.
1 trillion seconds.
1 trillion seconds, yeah.
Oh.
Just take a wild guess. You're not going to get
10 years.
Very, very close. 31,000 years. Okay. so why did I tell you that? 1 trillion seconds is 31,000 years. That tells you how big a trillion is. Yeah. Right? The Earth hasn't been here for 1 trillion seconds, according to the mainstream, right? Maybe no, it's been here for millions of years. Sorry. 31,000 years. So we have to do that 24 more times to get to the closest star and find out, oh, gee, there's nothing on this planet. We have to go to another star, which is 100 times farther than that one. Okay. Outer space is ridiculous. The outer space is not ridiculous. If I go here, whoops, I'm clicking on it. If I go here and I click and I type in map, let's see, maps. Let's see what we got here. What if the world is set up like this? What if we live here in the center? That ring is Antarctica, and out here are some outer lands. What if? I don't know. But there's a lot of evidence pointing to other lands. And if you really want to expand it, this is This is an interesting map. We live at the center here, and these are other worlds, just tens of thousands of miles away, hundreds of thousands of miles, 100,000 miles. It's just short, nothing. These are other worlds here on a flat Earth. Now, I don't know if this is true. This is just something that we're speculating about. And whoops, lost my connection there. That's all right. Come on, come back. Well, it'll come back. Hopefully it'll come back. Um, there we go. So what if that's it? Listen, if you want to believe in extraterrestrials, flat Earth is the way to go. Because think about this: if you live just beyond Antarctica on those lands, you could come here, abduct somebody, do your anal probing or whatever you got to do, and make it home in time to have dinner with the alien kids, right? In the app, there's a books section, and if you scroll over to more land, there's a whole bunch of books in here that are awesome. Iron Republic, I highly recommend. The Navigator Across the Ice Wall, amazing. Read these books. Don't believe anything. Think, right? In the late 1800s, there was a New York politician that just got sick and tired of tyranny. No, got sick and tired of politics and everything. Sold his house, had a bunch of money, bought a big ship, went to Antarctica, found some opening, went through, came out. They're out at sea. The stars are different. They couldn't figure out where they were. They were lost at sea for a couple of months. And then finally they found a land and they saw a city and they pulled up. And in the morning, they waited until dawn. A boat came out and greeted them. They're like, hey, welcome. You're at the Iron Republic. Like, where's that? He's like, well, it's on the other side of Antarctica, about the same distance as the United States. And he ended up staying there for 10 years, got married. I think his wife died, and he finally got distraught, and he got his ship back, and he went back to Florida and told the story. Now, whether that's true or not, it rings true to me. In the 1800s, they were talking about more land, more civilizations beyond Antarctica, right? People, we've known the Earth is a globe for 2,000 years. No, we haven't. Eratosthenes, not going to get into it, proves the Earth is flat. If you ask me, I could show you. There's all sorts of stuff. But I interviewed a woman named Ruth in 2020, 102 years old, and she was taught flat Earth here in school in America, public school. We found people that in the 1950s that said that they were taught flat Earth and globe Earth in school because they didn't know. So this whole thing about we've known for 2,000 years is nonsense. Eratosthenes, even if that experiment was done, does not prove the globe. It works perfectly the same way on a flat Earth. If you want to learn more about that on the app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, you can find it at flatearthdave.com. You hit the question mark button, and here are all the questions you're going to ask. And one of them is sticks and shadows right there. All of the videos breaking that down. Why the lie? That's the best one. Let's finish with that. Why the lie? Basically, they're hiding God. They're hiding your true divinity. They're hiding more resources. They're hiding your true power. They're hiding the fact that govern, control, ment is the mind, is nonsense. It's the belief system, right? They're hiding the fact that we are here, inheritors of this world by God, living in natural law, and they're making up a whole bunch of other laws. And they can't have it where we believe in a creator, because they would have to make laws that abided by natural law, the God's law. But if they have us living in their fake satanic ball world, if we're playing on their ball field, we have to abide by their rules. And once you unplug from that matrix and start seeing the real world and take your power back, well, what difference does it make, Dave? I still have to go to work on Monday. No, you don't, right? Things change. And what difference does it make? I'm only one person. One person with the truth is 1,000 times more powerful than a whole bunch of liars. And so here's the problem. People are like, I'm pretty happy. I get 2 weeks off of work paid. And, in the summer, they give me a half day on Friday. And, I'm going to work until I'm so old that I really can't enjoy my retirement because I'm still broke. They want you just here living on their farm where they're literally siphoning off of our energy, right? And they're controlling our minds with the news and the nonsense. But the reality is we live in an abundant world where there are no shortages. There is no overpopulation. I think there was trillions of people here living in all of the lands beyond Antarctica and here. And there's so much evidence of that. By the way, on the app, on the more resources page, which is the button that looks like a spider web, there's all sorts of, oh, I'm losing my connection here. There we go. There's all sorts of other resources, but actually I'm at the homeschool page. This top row here, there's a channel called My Lunch Break. You can find him on YouTube and all the other channels. Just start watching him. And Jake, I'm the Improbable Dreamer, show you the old world. It's right here in front of our faces. It's right in your town. You can see it yourself, but you've been blinded not to be able to see what's right in front of you. What's going on here? So there you go. There's tons of information there. Everything for me. If you're interested in booking me on a show or just want more information, flatearthdave.com. Scroll down to the crash course. I challenge anybody to watch the first 5 videos in that and not end up being a flat earther. It's impossible. It's scientifically impossible. The only way they keep you in your globe world is by making you not look at the evidence.
No, it's fascinating stuff, Dave. You've given me a lot of things to think about, and that's what I wanted you on here for. You know, it's all about the truth. The truth will set you free. Jesus said,
Yeah.
you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So yeah, guys, flatearthdave.com. Like I said, we've talked about the app. I've got the app. I'm going to be looking into it. Well worth looking into. Don't just discount things, guys. If you've never looked into it, always look into something. You can make your own mind up. You might decide you believe in the globe even after it. You may, not be certain. I'm not certain, but I'm going to look into it. It's been brilliant talking to you, Dave. So,
Right,
yeah, it's been excellent, especially that about Antarctica. I'm going to be probably sat up thinking about that now, and looking into
just
that much
here
further.
on the app, if you hit the question mark, that's your number one go-to. And on the left-hand side, it's Antarctica and the 24-hour sun. Lots of videos there. Spend a day or two just watching those videos. Hit that playlist, mirror it onto your TV. You can send yourself the playlist. You open up the playlist. Whoops, there goes my thing again. And you can just send it to your computer so you can watch it on a bigger screen. It'll keep you busy for a long time, and it'll keep Google's algorithm of nonsense out. So
Yeah.
again, don't believe anything I say. Go verify everything. That's what I did. I didn't believe anything. I was like, oh, where you get your information from? YouTube? YouTube is a place that has everything. It's like life. It has a bunch of idiots in it and a bunch of smart people in it, a bunch of stuff, and you got to sort it out. It's just like life. So it's a platform that's censoring the crap out of us, but guess what? All of the normies are there. All of the people that don't know of these other platforms. You go outside and you ask a person that has no idea about flat Earth, no idea about 9/11 or any of that stuff. You say, name 3 video platforms that host that you can upload videos to. They'll go YouTube. That's all they know. Oh, and maybe TikTok now. They'll know TikTok too, right? And maybe Instagram, but they don't know about Rumble or Odyssey or Rockfin or lots of these places that are uncensored, but they want to keep you there. So YouTube has been a blessing for all of us, even with all the censorship and all of the nonsense and the shadow banning. But it's waking up a lot of people. So it woke me up.
Yeah.
Luckily for me,
No,
when I first started looking into flat Earth, YouTube would always recommend really good videos. Now they recommend garbage. You can't find anything. And all the stuff I showed you on the app, you won't find any of it on your own.
no. Well, I'll be looking into it much more deeply, Dave. So thanks for your time. I'll be back next week, guys, with a new guest. I'm Paul, and this is Beyond the Paradigm.